One of the most important video game franchises of all time is The Legend of Zelda. And over the series' 40-plus year history, there have been numerous games, all of them worth playing in one way, shape, or form. Welcome to Square Pegs, everybody. I'm Jay. Glad you're here. Today I am talking about the 10 Zelda games I keep going back to, the ones out of the entire pantheon of Zelda games that I can't put down. And you know what? I consider myself incredibly lucky because I share a love of The Legend of Zelda with my wife, Meredith. She is a huge fan of the series. You're seeing her collection in the B-roll right now. This is all the stuff that's in her office. She just loves the games. And I'm a big fan of them as well. Like, this is my daily driver, or was my daily driver for a long time, is this Hyrule 3DS. And it is something that, to me, is just a franchise that is timeless. It is fantastic. Now, these are the 10 I keep going back to. All of the games are great, but these are the 10 to me that are the best. And we're going to start things off on the Nintendo 64, but not where you think. So when it comes to the Nintendo 64, I missed out on pretty much all of this when it released. I never played Ocarina of Time until the 3DS re-release, and I never played Majora's Mask until the 3DS re-release either, just because I never owned a 64, other than to have Paper Mario for my wife. So when I finally got to play them, Ocarina didn't grab me, and I think it had been Steved. So if you don't know what that means, because why would you? It's an occasion where a friend of ours back in the early 2000s used to tell us how incredible something was, and everything was the best, the greatest, the single most wonderful thing ever, and inevitably things can't live up to that. So when I'm told how perfect Ocarina is for decades, and when I finally play it, it's like, oh, it's just a kind of it's not really grabbing me. It's not grabbing me like something like Link to the Past did. And it took Majora to tell me a special story to really hook me with a gimmick with the time travel to really, really get me. And I know that's in Ocarina as well, but the style of Majora's Mask just hit me more. I loved the mask aspect. I loved the different characters. Like Skull Kid, I think, is an incredible character. I like just everything about Majora. And I don't want to say that Ocarina is bad, because by no stretch of the imagination is it a bad game. It's a spectacular game. It's one of the greatest games of all time. I just prefer Majora's Mask to it. And that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. I don't take anything away from people that love Ocarina because I think they're right. It's a wonderful title. This one's just more wonderful for me. While this one here is Oracle of Seasons, either of the Oracle games, either Ages or Seasons, are fantastic and deserve to be played. I think they're both wonderful games, so this is kind of a placeholder for both of them. It's a stand-in, if you will. I really enjoy these games because while they play a little bit like Link's Awakening, they're different enough that they're unique because they're introducing some very new things, because they're introducing seasonal change in Seasons using the Rod of Seasons, or they're introducing time change in Oracle of Ages using the Harp of Ages. You're able to kind of manipulate things in the games, which was, I believe, the first time we saw those in Zelda. Like, we had the shifting of the worlds in Link to the Past between the Dark World and the Light World, but actually manipulating time, this was before Ocarina. This was before Majora. This is something that we hadn't seen before, and it was really, really creative. I also think it's pretty important that this was the first successful execution of a third-party developer working with the Zelda IP, because this was co-developed by Capcom. And I think that's pretty incredible that this happened. I love these games. These, to me, are perfect opportunities and perfect candidates for remasters and remakes in the modern age, because I think there's just something absolutely magical about both of them. And I think it'd be really fun to get like a single cartridge Oracle collection on the Switch 2. I think that would be wonderful. Sometimes you just need to shut your brain off and hack and slash till your heart's content, and that's where the Hyrule Warriors games come in. And in particular, Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, which is just a mindless, brainless, fun action game. Like every Warriors game, it's pretty much just destroy all your enemies, go, have fun. And you do, because it's great. It's a wonderful experience to be able to play something like this set in the Zelda universe, kind of like with the Fire Emblem Heroes games, where you wouldn't expect to be able to kind of run out in the Fire Emblem universe and just play this ridiculous action game for something that is typically a tactical strategy. Like Zelda is an action RPG, so being able to just kind of go balls to the wall and just hack and slash hundreds, if not thousands of bokoblins, really, really gratifying. And there's tons of characters in this game too. So as you go, you're going to unlock a bunch of different characters. You're able to play as a bunch of different characters. It's really fun. Each character plays a little bit differently, even though the mechanics are identical between each one. It's just a brilliant title. And I really enjoy all of them. Every single one I've played so far of the Zelda Warriors games are awesome. Full disclosure, it took me a long time to come around on Twilight Princess. I didn't actually care for it when it first released. I thought it was a little too dark. I thought it was a little too moody. It was a little too Panic at the Disco for me, if I'm being honest, a little too emo. And it wasn't until I got the HD release, and this wasn't until probably 3 years ago that I actually got this, that I really felt the game click for me. I love the setting of the game, and I think kind of the implementation of things with the Wii U gamepad and the look of it being updated so it wasn't as jaggy as it was on the Wii was a pretty great thing. I really feel like this would be a wonderful game to release on the Switch too, because the upgrades that you could do visually and with the textures and things like that just are kind of a perfect example of what that system is capable of and what that system is kind of designed for with older titles, to make them just plus them to the nth degree. I really do like this one. I like Midna. I like the different abilities that you have. Wolf Link is really cool. It's just top to bottom an absolutely wonderful game. The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap is one of those games that I observed from afar for a long time. I didn't actually own it until a few years ago. And it was one that I was familiar with and I really enjoyed when I played it, but it was never one that I really dove deep on for a long time. And being able to play it on emulators wasn't the same until I was able to pick up the actual cartridge for my wife a few years ago, and I've been able to play it that way. And then it got added to the Switch, and that was like just kind of like a bonus. I was able to play it that way as well. To me, this is one of the most visually stunning Zelda games ever released. It feels like a cross between the Oracle games and Wind Waker, if that makes any sense. Like, kind of that cartoony aspect is really played up here, but it's done in such a way that it feels new and fresh and interesting. Having the ability to shrink yourself down and go deeper into the world of Hyrule was really creative and really clever. And the way that they used the graphical capabilities of the Game Boy Advance was kind of ingenious, because utilizing that kind of pseudo mode 7 that we had from the Super Nintendo in places on this game really made you feel like you were actively shrinking and moving around, and then kind of pushing that system to its limits with that 32-bit processor to make some of the graphical capabilities that the game displayed with like kind of the rotations and things like that as you're moving around was just amazing. And the game is fun too. Like, on top of that, like, you have all these incredible technical things. It's just a goddamn good game too. So love Minish Cap. Love that it's kind of getting the flowers it deserves now on Switch Online and people are able to play it more. It's just wonderful. When it comes to the Super Nintendo, there's no question that A Link to the Past is one of the single greatest achievements in video game history. It is an absolutely incredible game that took everything that happened in the original Zelda and made it so much more special. It just absolutely elevated it to every conceivable level, to something that was beyond anything I could have possibly imagined. It was an epic adventure that was told from the perspective of a kid who just wanted to help the princess, and I thought that was absolutely fantastic. The gameplay is amazing. The traveling between the world of light and the world of darkness is just magnificent, and something that was imaginative and creative and unexpected for the franchise at the time, because, I mean, you got to remember, when this released, we were just used to Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link, which was a side-scrolling game, and the original Legend of Zelda, which kind of pales in comparison when you look at A Link to the Past. It was magic, just absolute magic in cartridge form, and one of the greatest fantasy adventures ever. The gameplay is perfection, the music is wonderful, the storyline is epic, and it is just legitimately, to this day, one of the greatest video games ever made. I really waffled between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom for this, because while when I look at them from a bird's eye view, I don't consider them pure Zelda games, because I think there's just something a little bit off on them. I still think they're both really great games, and as much as I loved Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom has had its hooks in me a little bit more recently than Breath of the Wild has. And I think it was because I killed Breath of the Wild when it released. I played it for so many hours that by the time I was done with it, I tried playing it again a couple of years later, and I was just like, ugh, no way, never again. But with Tears of the Kingdom, it's still fresh because it wasn't something I spent a ton of time with when it originally released. So having it now on the Switch 2 with the Switch 2 upgrade, I'm really enjoying it. And I think it's something that took the vulnerabilities and kind of the negative aspects of it being on inferior hardware like the original Switch and having it patched up to be something that's really pretty remarkable on the Switch 2 is really awesome. The gameplay is solid. I like the creativity aspect of it by creating the different things. I'm not very good at it, so none of my stuff is like any of the crazy like laser tanks that you see on YouTube or anything like that, but it's still fun. I wish I was better at the creative aspect of it, but that's okay. I still really enjoy the gameplay. And if you liked the combat mechanics from Breath of the Wild, those are familiar and going to be readily available here in Tears as well. I love Wind Waker, and I loved Wind Waker when it released. I thought it was a really creative take on the Zelda franchise. I thought it was a really bold approach to give it a cartoon appearance the way that they did. I loved the cell shading. I thought it was beautiful to look at, and I really enjoyed the gameplay. Except for the damn boat. I really didn't enjoy driving the boat around. I thought, or sailing the boat around. You don't drive a boat, you sail it. And I thought it was just overly long in the original GameCube release. So I had a little bit of trepidation with Wind Waker HD on the Wii U, but getting it in hand and being able to play it, the improvements are very apparent based on how much easier it is to navigate the world. And it's gorgeous. Like, the game is just stunning to look at now, and the gameplay is wonderful as well. It's a total package game. It really is. It's one of the best Zelda adventures out there. I really appreciate kind of taking a risk and changing things up and making it not necessarily tied so firmly to this core Zelda concept, but it still works. It's still great. I like it when Nintendo takes chances, and I really like it when they take chances on established intellectual property like Zelda. And when we get something like Cadence of Hyrule Crypt of the Necrodancer, my mind was absolutely blown. I had no idea that this was even a possibility of something that could happen. And when I saw it announced on the Nintendo Direct, I'm a big fan of the original Crypt of the Necrodancer. So to see that world kind of adapted into the world of Hyrule, I was excited, I was intrigued, and I just could not wait. Even if the game sucked, I knew the soundtrack was going to be just magnificent. And instead, we not only got a great soundtrack, we got one of the most creative uses of the Zelda franchise and the Zelda license ever in video game form. Crypt of the Necrodancer, if you're not familiar, is a rhythm-based adventure game where you have to perform combat based on the beat of the song that is happening on the screen you're on. They used this in the Zelda world by letting you play as both Zelda and Link, and it was amazing. It was not something that I expected, like I said earlier, and it was just perfect. It's a phenomenal game. And seriously, even if you don't like rhythm games, the soundtrack is worth the price of admission alone. It's an absolutely magnificent sound, and if you do dig rhythm games, this needs to be on your list. It's magnificent. Yeah, here it is, my favorite Zelda adventure. This is The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds on the 3DS. The 3DS is my favorite video game console of all time, and yes, I know there are people in the comments that are going to tell me it's a handheld. It's a handheld video game console. I don't care. It is my all-time favorite. It is what, in my opinion, is probably the single greatest collection of games and greatest implementation of a curious mechanic that could have been done, because to have full 3D immersion without goggles was pretty incredible. And then we got amazing games on it. And A Link Between Worlds is my personal favorite Zelda game. I loved the storyline. I loved that it was a continuation of A Link to the Past, which was previously my favorite Zelda game. I loved that the gameplay took a chance and used the 3D elements to make the game incredibly immersive and give you something that was new and different, but still familiar. The gameplay in the game is magnificent, and it's something where if you like the Super Nintendo release of A Link to the Past, this is going to feel familiar to you because it's a lot of the same kind of core concepts and implementations that we received in A Link to the Past, but just done a little bit differently while taking advantage of what the 3DS is capable of. This is a magical game. I think this is the best top to bottom Zelda adventure ever told. I love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, so elephant in the room. Why no Ocarina? Why no original Legend of Zelda? Why no Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link? If I'm being honest with you, as much as I love Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link and I love the original Zelda, they're dated. They didn't age terribly well. They're a great starting point, but the games that I featured, the games that I love on this list are the ones that, to me, are the most fun today. And as far as Ocarina goes, I think Majora's Mask showed a maturity in the development cycle of a Zelda game on the Nintendo 64, and it showed and shored up some of the weaknesses from that original release on Ocarina and made it a little bit more streamlined and a little more interesting. Those are my 10. Let me know in the comments your 10. I know Ocarina will be on a lot of people's list, and I can't fault you for that. If I had played it when it released, I probably would be there as well with you. But let me know what you think about my list, and let me know your 10 in the list below. Until next time, folks, I've been Jay. Appreciate you spending some time with me today. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you really liked it, consider subscribing. I'd love to have you stick around. And until next time, remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.